All right, today we're diving into a book that asks some really tough questions about our entire financial system. The source for this explainer is The Great Taking by David Rogers Webb, and let me tell you, it puts forward a very provocative and pretty unsettling idea about who really owns your assets.
So let's just jump right in with the central question the book poses. I mean, it seems like a simple question, right? Of course you do. But according to the author, the answer has been deliberately clouded, and understanding this one question is really the key to unlocking the entire argument he's about to make.
And this is the source we're digging into. Webb's book isn't just him shouting opinions. He tries to build a case, piece by piece, using historical documents and legal code. So in this explainer, we're just going to walk through the evidence he presents, slide by slide, to really get a handle on his perspective. So where does this whole story start? According to the author, it all kicks off with a massive change in how we hold our assets. The big move away from physical paper certificates to a system that's purely digital. He says this was the first absolutely essential step.
And the big word for this is dematerialization. Before this, you might have actually held a physical stock certificate in your hand. Now, your ownership is just an electronic line item in a gigantic digital ledger, all managed by one central place. Seems like just a simple change for convenience, right? Well, the author argues it was a whole lot more than that.
Now, if you look at the timeline, the official story sounds perfectly reasonable. There was a paperwork crisis back in the 60s, it was a mess, so they created the DTC to fix it. But the author zooms in on a detail he finds, well, a little strange. The guy who ran this huge 22-year project was a career CIA operative who, by his own admission, had zero background in finance. For the author, this is the first little red flag.
Okay, so everything's digital, everything's held in one central place, the stage is set. And this next part, according to the author, is the absolute heart of his entire argument. It was a quiet legal change, but he claims it was profound. And here it is. This is the big one, the security entitlement. The book basically says this legal invention stripped you of direct ownership, your actual property right, and replaced it with something way, way weaker, a simple contractual IOU from your broker. Think about that. You no longer own the stock. You just have a claim to a stock. In this slide, wow, it really lays it out, doesn't it? On the left, that's what we all think we have, our own property, safe and sound. On the right is what the author claims is the reality. Your assets aren't separate anymore. They're thrown into a giant pool. They can be pledged as collateral by your broker. And here's the kicker. If your broker goes bust, you're not an owner getting your stuff back. Nope. You're just another unsecured creditor waiting in line. Now, you might be thinking, where's the proof? Well, the author points to documents just like this one, a 2006 letter from the New York Fed, and it says right there that an investor only has a pro-rata share of pooled assets. And then it adds that this is true, and this is wild, even if your positions are supposedly segregated. So, they've got the system down in the US, what's next? According to the book, the next piece of the puzzle was to take this American model and make it the standard for the entire world. The process was given a nice-sounding name, Harmonization. And the book claims there was a pretty clear playbook for how to do this. The plan, he says, was to export this security entitlement model everywhere. They'd use international bodies and treaties to get around local laws that protected property rights. And the whole point was to establish something called legal certainty, but not for you, the investor. Now, it was for powerful creditors who wanted to be absolutely certain they could get their hands on that collateral.
And to show this isn't just theory, the book brings up countries like Sweden and Finland, places with historically some of the strongest property rights on Earth. The author claims their legal protections were basically bulldozed when their national depositories were bought up by Euroclear, which is this huge international depository that operates under these new rules.
Okay, so we've seen the structural changes, the legal changes, but why? Why do all this? We're now at what the author calls the endgame, the ultimate purpose of this entire complex system.
It all comes down to something called collateral management. Now, the book describes this as way more than just some boring back-office function. He says it's a massive automated network that connects all the world's securities. It's like a live global dashboard for a select group of creditors, showing them all the potential collateral they can tap into at a moment's notice.
Of course, there's an official reason for all this. You see it in reports like this one. The language is all about efficiency, in times of market stress, so firms can meet their margin calls. It sounds good. But the author wants you to ask a really simple question. Whose securities are being rapidly deployed here?
And this is it. This is the chain reaction the author alleges is just sitting there, built into the system, waiting to happen. Step 1, all of our assets are pooled together. Step 2, a huge financial crisis hits. Step 3, those automated systems kick into high gear, making collateral calls across the globe. And Step 4, our assets are taken. Sucked out of our accounts, not randomly, but specifically to cover the massive losses of a legally protected class of creditors.
So, after building this case, step by step, piece by piece, we finally arrive at the author's final and, frankly, explosive conclusion.
And there it is. The author's claim is that this wasn't an accident. It wasn't a series of unfortunate mistakes. He argues that this entire global system, from getting rid of paper certificates to the legal trick of security entitlements to the high-speed collateral systems, was intentionally built for one single purpose: to confiscate all financial assets during a future crisis.
So let's just boil it down to the 4 key claims the author makes. 1. Your legal ownership? It's gone. 2. Your assets? They're in a giant pool that others can use as collateral. 3. When a crisis hits, a special class of creditors is legally first in line to take those assets. And 4, the whole system is global, it's automated, and it is ready to go.
And so after working our way through the arguments in The Great Taking, we're left with this deeply unsettling question. If what this author claims about this system is true, then what does it really mean to own anything in the financial markets today? That's definitely a question we're thinking about.